bags going. Let's go. Insert before flight. Rev with Mac. I'm going to be giving these away on TikTok soon, so if you want to get one of these, follow me on TikTok and you'll be able to win one. Hi everyone, Mac here and welcome to another episode of my motovlog, where I jump on the bike, normally on Sundays, and just talk nonsense for a little bit. Last episode I think I talked about my project bike. No, that was the episode before that. What did I talk about last episode? It would be helpful if I didn't have goldfish memory. What did I actually talk about last episode? I can't remember. Project bike, and then there was dream bikes. That's it. I was talking about my dream bikes. So this episode I wanted to turn it down a little bit, bring it to reality, and I wanted to talk about how you can choose your first motorbike, whether it's your 125cc, whether it's your first A2 motorbike or your first big bike, or your full license bike, whatever. I wanted to talk about that process because for me that process was quite in-depth. As I said in my previous videos, I overanalyze, especially when I haven't got something, when I want something and I haven't got it. It's almost like the closest thing to having it is by keep on researching and choosing what I'm going to have. Because once you decide what you want, then you just got to put your head down and start saving, or get the cash ready. But yeah, for me the process of choosing this bike was quite in depth. And I think it all starts with one thing, and that's budget. How much money have you got? Now I know you can talk about getting finance and getting loans and that sort of thing. That's a whole nother conversation, because everyone's in a different sort of financial position, so everyone's kind of money is going to be a bit different. How much money you have, all that sort of stuff. So I don't want to get into that. I just want to talk about choosing your first bike. And as I said, it starts with budget. So you have to know, at least you have to decide how much you want to spend, and that could vary if you want a brand new bike, if you want a used bike, or if you want something in between, something quite new that is got a few thousand miles on it. Like this bike I picked up with about 5,000 miles on it, and it's a 2016, so it's definitely an older used bike, but it's nothing crazy. So yeah, I think budget's number one. Choose out or just determine how much money you want to spend, whether it's £1,000, £2,000, £500, £10,000, I don't know. The world is your oyster. But I think a good budget to start with, if you're looking at like a 125cc, is maybe like a £2,000 mark. Because I feel like if you've got £2,000, you can pretty much get any 125 you want. It just depends on the condition and the mileage, unless you're going for something ridiculously expensive. But I think £2,000 these days will get you a good 125. And a lot of people always ask me about 125s and if I recommend any good ones. I mean, look, a 125 engine is going to be pretty much the same in anything you buy. So realistically, you're buying the features and the looks of the bikes and the ergonomics, so like the seating position and the type of bike. But I always kind of my rule of thumb is always to recommend something Japanese. And it might be an outdated way of looking at it, because I know there are some really good Chinese brands like CF Moto these days that do some really good bikes, but for me I just find the Japanese bikes just hold the value better. They have less electrical issues and they're more reliable. Oh, somebody in my fucking visor. Get out. There's a bug in my fucking helmet. Anyways, yeah, so there is that, there is the Chinese bikes that are good, but there's still a lot that are very unreliable, and they don't have the trust of the consumer. And if you haven't got the trust of the consumer, oh, hopefully my GoPro wasn't fucked the whole time. if you haven't got the trust of the consumer, then your bike is not going to keep its value. Even if the bike is great and has done you well, you're going to have a hard time getting rid of it. Whereas you get Honda, Kawasaki, you know, Suzuki or Yamaha, it's going to be much easier to sell on, because those brands are big enough and reliable enough that people know about them to invest into a used one. So my rule of thumb is always going for like a cheaper Japanese bike as your first 125. And for £2,000 you can probably get like a CBR 125. Maybe for a little bit more you can get the YZF-R 125s. I mean, there's so many things out there depending on the style. So yeah, I think budget is number one, and then it's really, come on, what sort of bike you want. I think that's going to be quite important too. Whether you want a sporty bike or a naked bike, whether you want a cruiser or adventure. I think for 125s, again, probably not too much of a difference. Obviously you can jump on whatever you want, but I just think as a first ever motorbike, you know, something like a naked bike is nice because it's maneuverable, it's comfortable, usable in any sort of field or any location. But if you're looking like an A2 or a full license, then yeah, you're going to start thinking, do I want an adventure bike, do I want a dirt bike, you know, something sporty, super sports bike, or a cruiser, you know. So I think if you determine what style of bike you want, that's the second question. So number one, budget. Number two, what sort of style of bike. That's a weird VW. Once you've determined kind of what type of bike you want and how much you want to spend, then it's really finding out the best bikes in that bracket range of that style. So for example, if you wanted to go for a naked bike and your budget is about £4,000 and you want something that is A2 compliant, and I was just doing a short on A2 bike, so this is still fresh in my head. There's so many options with A2 because you can restrict loads of bikes, but like a Yamaha MT-07, it's a great choice, or even the R7. I mean, the R7 is very, very sexy, and I really want to try one actually. Obviously it's nowhere near as fast as an R6, but it has the styling of an R6, if not more aggressive. But it has like the usability of like a smaller bike, and the MPG is really good on them as well. So yeah, you could look at the R7 or the MT-07 for A2s. You could look at the CBR 650, this one, and getting it restricted, or getting the 500. The thing between like 500 and 650s is you can get a 500 and ride on it straight away without restricting it. But once you want to move up or you pass your bigger test, then you have to buy a whole new motorbike. Whereas if you get like a 650, you can take the restrictor off once you pass, and now you got the same bike but more power. So yeah, that's kind of my three sort of tips, you know. Figure out the price, figure out the style, and then sort of pinpoint 3 or 4 bikes within those 2 specs that you like. Now it's hard to get test drives and stuff like that on motorbikes because a lot of places just let you take them, and if you've got any issues, return them in 2 weeks. But that's a very vague thing, because once you purchase something and you have it, you get emotionally attached, you know, you're not going to go back in a week and say, oh, I really don't like this, unless you really don't like it. Whereas with cars, I find, you know, you do a test drive and you might not like certain things about it, but because you haven't committed to buying it, you know, you don't need to return it, sort of thing. So it's a little bit annoying with motorbikes. There are some places that do test drives, so you've got to book them in advance, or you've got to make sure that you booked them sort of early on. But if you can get a test drive, then great, you know, get a test ride going and see how it feels. I mean, a lot of the times a test ride on a motorbike is going to feel different to a car, because there's so many new things going on, a new position, a new dash. Like for me, riding this for the first time, it was going to feel weird regardless of what the bike was, if you know what I mean. So you can't really tell much of a test drive. You can look at reviews and that sort of stuff. I bought this from Superbike Factory. There's a couple of them around the UK, and they're really good because they've got loads of stock. But obviously they're a little bit more expensive because they're a main dealer. You do get warranty and all that good stuff. But yeah, have a look at you can always have a look at Auto Trader and see if people are selling stuff privately. The private between dealership conversation, you know, it's a conversation you can have for hours. You know, there's benefits to both. If you go to a main dealer, you know, you're getting a little bit more trust and you're getting a little bit more warranty, but you can still get a shit bike. You know, when you go personal or private, you're probably going to get a better deal, because you know there's not a salesman trying to make money on that bike, just the person selling it. And a lot of the times when you buy private, people actually take care, or better care, of the bikes than you do at a dealership, because people just dump them in a dealership when they're bored and get something new. So you kind of get a good steal private, but obviously with private, if you get a shitter and you get a bad bike, there's nothing you can do about it. You know, you just have to bite the bullet. So in my opinion, for your first bike, I would go to a dealer and spend a little bit more and have that peace of mind, but that's just my opinion. Okay, my GoPro is already on low battery, which is a bit of a piss take, so I might continue this chat on the next motovlog because I've got to shoot off. But as I said, if you are looking to get your first bike, make sure you look around, get some test drives, pinpoint the brands that you like, go for something Japanese, in my opinion. Main dealer over private for a first big bike. And don't overthink it also, you know, because I'm good at that overthinking part. You just got to get the bike that you like. There's not such thing as a perfect bike. There's just good bikes and there's bad bikes. So you make sure you buy a good one, and if you love it and it's yours, then enjoy it, you know. That's all you need to worry about. Fuck, where did I come from? I think it was that one. Yeah, it was. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you all next time. Should have worn more winter gloves. Should have worn winter gloves. It's fucking cold on my fingers. And always make sure to go online and read some reviews of common problems and issues with each bike, because there's a lot of stuff out there.